This screencast is for a simple course management system add-in for RStudio Server Pro. If you haven't yet installed the add-in, see the installation instructions on its GitHub site. That page also includes setup instructions for both you and your students, not shown here. This screencast assumes you've followed those instructions as well. This screencast covers just one use of the add-in: collecting an assignment. You can always get to the add-in from the RStudio server account in which you originally installed it. Just click on the Add-ins menu here and choose the Simple Course Management System add-in. It opens the add-in in a new tab in your browser. The add-in is broken into three categories shown at the top. In this screencast, we're working with the file sharing tools. This menu is how the instructor chooses what file sharing action the add-in should take. In this screencast, we want to collect student work, so we choose Collect an Assignment from that menu. In a previous screencast, we distributed the file exampleassignment.rmd, so let's assume its deadline is passed and we should collect that now. We enter the file name without any path in the blank for a file name. Notice that as we type, the bottom half of the interface is updating. Each line represents a file copy operation that will be performed if we proceed. Each source file has the same file name, the one I typed in, but a different path, one for each student submissions folder. The copies will all go to the same folder. The one I stipulated in my settings would be used for grading. Notice that student usernames are prepended to each file name, so I can tell them apart after I collect them. The files do not exist in the destination folders, as a double check to be sure that I haven't already collected this assignment. If I had, the interface would tell you whether the version I have was older or newer than the student's latest version. You can choose which subset of students will have their files collected. By default, all students are collected. Clicking the bottom button collects the files, overwriting any file I had already collected of the same name. To avoid that, we could use the top button, which would collect files only from those students for which I don't already have a file of that name. This is useful if you let students submit a late assignment for an excusable reason, but you don't want to overwrite grading you've already done on previously collected files from other students. We have already checked that there are no potential collisions, so in this case both buttons have the same effect. We click one button to collect the files, and you can see that the interface updates itself. If I switch back to the RStudio tab in my browser and examine the Files interface, we can see that the students' files have all been moved into my chosen grading folder. I can open the files and edit them however I like. That's all there is to collecting student work. Future videos demonstrate how to include visible feedback and how to return graded files.